Okay, so today we've got Keith from Edibly Wild, and yeah, we met Keith recently, and he also lives north of Toronto in Ontario, and we wanted to come together to talk about, what most people are get really excited when the green season hits, which is spring foraging. And so, yeah, Keith, if you just want to introduce yourself, tell people where they can find you, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, you can mainly I'm just on Instagram at Edibly Wild. Um and I have a a foraging group on Telegram for Ontario foraging. So if you reach out to me on Instagram, I could give you that link to that. It's a private group. And we talk about foraging and share our finds and stuff like that.
Where's the closest towns, cities to you if people are like within an hour or two?
So I'm about an hour north of Toronto. Um Yeah, a smaller town on Highway 10.
Cool.
Also, I just created a website, so I have that too, ediblywild.ca. And you can email me at info@ediblywild.ca if you're interested in coming out on a foraging walk and you're in the area.
Right on.
Well, I have to say, when we saw Keith's Instagram, your content's really good. You share a lot specifically on foraging, which is awesome, and just nature connection in general. So maybe we can start by let's start with your philosophy on foraging. How do you approach this as a practice in your life, and how does it show up in your day-to-day routine or your yearly cycles?
Yeah, so I grew up fishing and did a little bit of foraging as a kid. And but for years the foraging world was, forgot about it. And I recently came back into it. 'Cause I was struggling, having some struggles in life, and coming off of getting away from pharmaceutical medications and stuff like that. So I was going through a period of healing and struggling, and I started doing more fishing. And then through that, um, I was at a foraging workshop just synchronistically, and I only caught a few minutes of it, but it reopened my eyes to foraging. So then when I went out fishing, I started foraging and looking for plants, and uh, I found it a lot more interesting than fishing, because fishing you could stand there all day and not catch anything, but with foraging there's tons to do and you can never get bored, and there's fishing seasons, but with foraging you can do it all year round. And so I very quickly got an interest in it, and it overtook my interest in a lot of other things I was doing. And I do it for the healing aspect of being in nature as well. I noticed it's the only place where I felt um interested and excited, and a lot of the world, I was becoming disillusioned with a lot of my other identities and habits. And um so it was a good grounding experience to get out. And I used foraging as like an excuse to get out in nature, kind of like I was with fishing, to get me out more. And I think we are all going through a little bit of that right now, where we need this grounding, we need this healing. Maybe the world's changing really quickly, and we you know we're a bit lost. And so we can go back to nature. It's something that's in our DNA. It's, foraging is something we've done for thousands of years. So it's like going back home in a way, and going back to the known in a world of unknowns.
Mm-hmm. I heard someone recently say it can seem like there's no mystery to life when, all the maps have already been written and all the land's been discovered, and you know, there's all this technology, so it seems like there's no mystery in the world. And kind of as you were saying that about foraging, it's like when you go out foraging, it's a mystery because you don't know, you know, like unless you've been on this patch of land several times, but like the first couple times you go out into a certain area, you'd be like, oh, like what's around this corner? Like, oh, let's
Yeah.
go in this gully. Like, what's down
Yeah,
here?
exploring. Basically becoming a kid again, you know, it's very healing to do that, to express your inner child and explore and go on adventures. And yeah, the mystery, I feel it when I see a plant that I've never seen before and there's something interesting on it and it's a mystery. What is it? What can you do with it?
Yeah.
And so you go down this rabbit hole of trying to figure it out. It gives
Yeah.
you purpose.
Pardon?
It gives you purpose in life.
Yeah. And play, like you said, that inner child. I mean, sometimes when we go out for walks, like you'll just, when things come randomly, when you least expect it, it's amazing how much joy and happiness comes through us. Like it's incredible.
Yeah.
Even if you walk the same place over and over, you would, like, we lived on this property that was 3 acres, and we would still find, like, we would find bones after living there for 2 years, walking the land every single day. And we were like, how did we never see, you know, this skull or this jawbone or something? And it was so exciting and beautiful. And I find foraging is like that too, whether it's mushrooms or plants or whatever. But I feel
For
like
sure.
when spring hits, a lot of people experience that like it's like this igniting energy and everyone's just ready to go and forage after a long winter. So I'm curious,
Yeah.
when your inner child sparked when spring arrives, what are you kind of like on the lookout for, or what are you excited to find?
Yeah. Well, there's things that are there during the winter too, but yeah, a lot more comes to life in the spring, and it's like nature kind of it's almost like overwhelming when spring comes, right? There's so much that's about to happen, and we're in that stage right now. So what I'm looking for, what I'm waiting for right now is I would like to get some cow parsley. You guys know cow parsley? Yeah, more because I haven't played with that plant very much. So I'm waiting for that, and I'm going to make a pesto out of that.
So for listeners who don't know this plant, can you describe it?
Yeah, it looks like wild carrot. Or carrot. It looks like carrot leaves.
Yeah.
And you know, I've already seen it like a month ago when the snow melted. It was everywhere. Not around here. I have to go for a bit of a drive. But yeah, it is a little bit of a risky family of plants, the carrot family, because there's poison hemlock. And it does look a lot like poison hemlock. So I wouldn't recommend it for beginners, but and plants like that, you know, it's good to watch for a year or two before you start eating it. Learn about it and watch it over the seasons. And that's what I did last year. So this year I'm excited to try some.
And for, again, listeners who don't know, how do you ID the carrot family in particular? What are we looking for? Just if people can, have that lens of awareness.
Well, in the spring, it'll start as a basil rosette, right? With a circle of leaves right on the ground. They're almost fern-like leaves, or parsley, like thin parsley-like leaves. And yeah, it's surprising how many people don't know what wild carrot is, and it's everywhere. It's literally everywhere. And yes, those long stalks that you see with the fuzzy flowers in the fall, or you'll probably see them in the winter too. Yeah.
I love what you shared about, like, almost to me, it's like a courtship with plants. I'm definitely not the type of person that IDs a plant and then encourages someone to just harvest right away and, you know, take that plant home. My style is definitely like you're courting this plant as you would a human or like a friend.
Becoming friends.
Yeah, take your time. Like you don't know anything about this plant. And actually,
I'm the opposite.
Jeff's a little bit
Yeah, I'm both.
well, but also
Yeah.
you're like that with like plants or mostly mushrooms that you know. Like if Jeff sees reishi or chaga, like there's no way you're stopping him at this point.
Yeah,
But
no,
I'm
I'm probably more like Jeff now that I think of it.
yeah.
Do as I say, don't do as I do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely guilty of like, well, this is going in the compost.
Right.
Sorry.
It depends though. I also think it depends on the plant. And what was I going to say about that? Yeah, just taking your time, regardless where you are with plants. And I love that. Like people come to us, especially when we're doing our foraging walks, and they want us to just like point and name. It's like, tell me what that plant is and what I can do with it.
Can
And
you name 1,000 plants in 5 minutes as we walk?
Yeah, I
And
don't
you
remember
know-
it all.
Yeah.
well, that's how I feel. And I say, I'm actually not going to do that. Like, I do tell them a handful of plants at the end of the walk, but I'm not just going to point and then just like have them take all these plants home, and there's no relationship, there's no respect, there's no like time. And it's like, anyway, I got
So how do you do it?
with plants or
Yeah,
teaching or
So you don't tell them the names, but so what do you do in the first part of the walk?
so oftentimes what I default is just getting the participants to describe to me what they see.
Yeah.
And I always start there because we're actually building a new field of awareness for people.
Yeah.
Some people have never looked at a tree and said, oh, is this opposite or alternate branching? Like they literally don't have that.
Yeah.
That
What does it
lens.
smell like? What does it feel like? Touch it. What does it feel like? Yeah, what does it look like that you could relate it to?
Yeah, exactly. And so oftentimes I start with that and I get people to describe to me what they see. And then from there, after some time, I'll generally share what it is. And then from there, we go into a conversation about, uses or what we can do with this plant to build a relationship. But oftentimes I'm not encouraging them to harvest right away. That's
Yeah.
like, it depends, again, it's like generalizing here, but there might be one or two plants that they'll harvest. And generally I choose like very common plants that, are high abundance in our area that you can't really mistake. And yeah, and then they'll go home with that. But yeah, I just encourage people to slow down with that journey of
That's
plant
awesome.
medicine and like really get to know one at a time, and you will know a lot as you go, but it's not about just like pointing and naming, because then take that same person, put them in a different environment, they don't even know the plant.
And everything is going to look like that to them now. Because when you
Yeah.
look for something, you see it, right? So they're going to be looking for it, and then they're going to see it in every plant because they don't know the features, so they're going to just see what they're
Oh,
looking
that's
for.
definitely the wild carrot for me.
Yeah.
It's wild carrot. That's wild carrot. It's like 300 different plants, but like each one kind of looks like carrot to me, and I'm like, oh, is that it? Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I've been guilty.
Is there another plant, maybe we can go to a more common one. So something that's potentially easier to find that people could be scanning for, and then you can describe that one as well.
Yeah, well, leeks are a pretty common one, and well, they're highly prized. So in some areas they're not so common, but yeah, leeks they'll grow in maple forests, maple dominant forests. So forest with no leaves are a good start. When there's no leaves on the trees. They're one of the first greens to pop up in the forest, and they have long leaves, one or two leaves, and what would you say they look like, the leaves? They're long, lance shaped almost.
Yeah, I mean, if people know trout lily, oftentimes they're very similar-ish in
Yes.
their shape, except the leeks come up. To me, it's a color distinction. Like if you're scanning in a forest from afar, you can know if it's a leek. For me, it's this like particular shade
Yeah.
of green. Like when
And
Like
yeah.
emerald.
yeah, dark green. And a lot of times if you look closely, you'll see the seeds from last year. So there'll be a stalk with a bunch of black balls on it, like a globe-shaped cluster of seeds. And that's a good way to tell as well. And just grab a leaf and smell it, and it should smell like onion. And yeah, you could pick the bulbs, but it's a lot easier just to go and pick leaves, and it's better for the population. If there's a lot very thick bulbs, it could be good to pick some bulbs, but it takes a long time and it's messy and they're dirty. So you might want to start just taking the leaves. And I made some really good pestos last year from leaves. And it can have quite a kick.
Yeah.
What's really abundant where, I guess, in your like closest vicinity for like green space, what's your most abundant kind of go-to foraging thing where you can kind of like pretty much send anyone out?
Yeah. Well, there's watercress. I live around a lot of water, like streams and stuff like that. Watercress would be a good one. It's really abundant in during the winter. It's there too, but it's not dense. It like climbs back, so there's not a lot of growth. A lot of it dies off, but there will still be a little bit. So once the weather gets warmer and the sun comes out, it starts growing really quickly. And with that, it kind of looks like radish leaves. It'll grow on the top of water. It's like a lily almost. It's kind of sitting on the water. And it is in the mustard family, so it does have a radishy taste and a spiciness to it. You want to make sure if you're going to eat it fresh, it's from really cold, like spring water. I just, read something about these parasites in it, and yeah, it's scary. You don't want those parasites in your body. So if it's in like, water that's standing, it's not flowing fast, it's not cold, it's not super clear, and probably from a spring nearby, you probably want to cook it. And it'd be good in soups, stir fries. I'm interested in trying to make like a fermented cabbage kimchi out of it.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah.
So we actually had this conversation when we went to get our last spring water run. I was like, Jeff, people call this plant so many names.
Chickweed,
Chickweed, duckweed, watercress.
Yeah.
Do you
you go to like a spring you just go to a spring that's coming out of the ground, or there's a tap? Or
there's both.
Yeah.
But there's a pool, and then it's beside it, tap as well.
Did you find that on findaspring.org?
It's not
actually. No, I did it. So I learned from the guy who started Find a Spring and one of his buddies, and at the early stages they kind of gave how-tos on finding a spring. If you can't find one, was like ask people in your city. Another one was ask old people who still remember there being springs around. One was like chasing water sources. So I had asked a lot of old people, and I remember when I was like really young, like probably 5-6 years old, there was a lot more springs in our city. But what ends up happening is they cap them and just end up running municipal water lines past them or something as they build subdivisions. So there used to be more in our town. They all got capped. And I have this like funny memory of my grandfather having spring water in jugs in the fridge. It was like, that's spring water. Like, it's not just that water. It's like, oh, this is a different water in the fridge, I guess. But then I found, so I like did like 2 years of asking people, anytime I was outside and I seen water coming downhill, I would just trace it up to the source to try to see if I could find a spring. I found a few, but they're like such a trickle that you would never be
Yeah.
able to collect anything. And then I asked someone at a local health food store, and they just happened to have lived down the road from this spring like 5-10 years ago. And they said like, go here, turn left, turn right. And I just followed their directions and found it.
Awesome.
So it was by word of mouth for me, but it spent like a good year or two like searching, questioning people, asking, looking around.
Well, it's a good time of year for clean water. So this came from the maple tree in my backyard.
Nice.
And you can tap birch trees as well, right? So you get a few weeks of maple water and then a few weeks of birch water. And it's full of nutrition and it's slightly sweet. So
That's so good.
yeah, we love drinking that.
I mean, when we go to the spring in the winter and you see the watercress, like every time I tell Jeff, I'm like, it's amazing how much my eyes miss seeing that vibrant green that's associated with just like, this time of year and new life. Like, you know, just like the budding, it's just like a particular color that for me, like my eyes just get like, well, my eyes get just drawn to it. And then my whole body gets so happy. Like,
Yeah.
Well, you don't see much living like that when it's -40.
Yeah.
Kicking around, you know, like all you get is kind of the dark green from the
Well, that's the thing about these spring ephemerals is you can't, like, if you grow your own food, there's nothing available this time of year. Like wild plants are used to the cold, so they grow like through the snow, you know, they're under the snow alive. And so as soon as the snow melts, they're there and they're just growing quickly. So even if you do garden, this is probably the best time of year for foraging if you're gardening, because you don't have your garden food available right now.
That's such a good point too. Yeah.
What's your perspective on the idea that a wild plant that has to, you know, go through the different weathers and like the harshness of the landscape, that, you know, you can't get around that in like a wild plant versus a domesticated plant that, you know, if we think of tomatoes, they're like babied and you know, for good reason in our environment. But what's your perspective on like wild versus domesticated plants in a garden and their nutrient density or potency of medicine?
Yeah, well, there's a few images floating around online where they take a cultivated plant and show the roots, and then they take some wild plants and show the roots, and the roots of the wild plants go way deeper. And so that's why they're drought resistant, and they're also pulling more nutrients, and there's different nutrients down deeper. And so yeah, they are pulling more nutrients. Another thing that I like about eating locally is you hear, you know, if you eat locally, you'll have local immunity. So for things like allergies and stuff, you won't have it as bad if you're eating the flowers and the pollen that's around you. And it's kind of like a vaccine, I think, right? You're getting doses of it so that when it's around you, it's not affecting you. And just that plant has been exposed to all the things around you that you're exposed to. So, and it is built immunity for that. So
yeah, it's almost like climatizing yourself. I have a crazy guru who he would say, like, anytime you go on an airplane, if you don't want to get sick in the new place you just landed, you would say, grab a handful of soil, put it in your mouth. You could chew on it, swallow it, or spit it out, and then you get all the microbes of that area.
Yeah.
So that you don't drink the water or eat the food and get suddenly sick.
Yeah.
It's a little far out, but I love the concept of it.
Yeah. Yeah, she'll probably be eating lots of dirt.
Oh yeah.
It's a matter of time.
That's what I mean. It's instinct, it's primal, and again, we've just like it's the domestication of us as well, like in that process. But if you're gardening and foraging, like inevitably you're gonna have dirt on you that makes its way into your body, whether you're trying to stay very clean or not.
Yeah, so it's a lot of work for you guys probably to get your water. You get it every day, or
No, so we travel about every 3 weeks to 4 weeks.
okay,
We
that's not
travel like
bad.
about an hour away.
Yeah, because I only use bottled water too, like that. I usually get it from friends that are on wells. Um, but I'd prefer a spring if I can find one around here. I know there's springs coming out of the ground that I'll drink from a little bit, but yeah, it's even foraging, it's a lot more work, but there's so many rewards like grounding that you get from it that are necessary and we really need, right now. And anytime you work hard for something, the reward and is so much better, and that's why we all feel lost right now, and there's not a lot of satisfaction in life. So it's more satisfying to do the hard thing, and foraging is not easy.
Mhm.
It's a lot of work, and but it is rewarding. It's worth it if you can find time for it and make time for it.
For sure. Like just the
And a
therapeutic
lot,
benefits are like, and it's only science is only gonna, I'd say, catch up. It's like you can't even quantify half the stuff that's probably happening when you're out there. Just
oh
the
yeah,
the
for sure.
vibrations, the cymatics, the
The birds chirping and
everything. Yeah, like just fractals on fractals. Like just like something we talk about all the time is with her when you go outside, if you're familiar with like fractal patterns of nature. So like you go out and nothing's right angles or
yeah,
squares or perfectly smooth surfaces. And when they are, they stand out, and like the water's moving, the trees are moving, and it's like branches moving in front of each other. And there's so many fractal, like Fibonacci
yeah,
patterns in nature. Like that's what our eyes are built for. And then you're doing like you're nearsighted, farsighted. And
yeah.
like for her to go outside for an hour is just like, whoa, like overwhelmed, like her mind's blown. But then she can sit in the house for like 6 hours, and then just like, then she'll meet her max. Whereas
That's
outside, it's just there's so much going on for like stimulation that we probably can't even think about. And
a good
we joke
point.
around
Yeah,
sometimes just saying like, oh, I got a lot of fresh air today. Like, oh, I'm exhausted.
yeah. Well, that's a good point. My daughter's always, I want to go home, but it's probably why, because there's so much going on and she gets tired quick. And
Yeah,
yeah, that's why they always have good sleeps after going out.
Mhm.
exactly.
It's almost like
Yeah.
It's
I
growing
would
their
almost
brain.
say, sorry to cut you off, like what you were saying with your daughter, it's like it's almost like equivalent of like being full on a meal.
Yeah,
Well, like let's go home, let's go outside, and it's like I want to get full, and it's
yeah,
like, oh, okay, I'm good. Like I'm good, Dad. Like I'm full. I had my
yeah,
fill.
yeah,
Well, it's like if you imagine it too as like overstimulation, you can have overstimulation from a screen, of course, or like loud music, bright lights. But you could also, I would argue, this idea of being overstimulated for them of like so many new senses, like all the smells, the sunlight, the patterns, the like the flicker of the shadows, all of that. They're just
mhm,
Birds,
taking it in.
yeah.
And it's all so new that, yeah, after spending
yeah. And
significant time outside with her, like she's a different baby when we come home than if
exactly.
we're inside for the same amount of hours. It's amazing.
My daughter will always try to fight it. And,
Yeah.
after like 10, 15 minutes of being outside, she's just a completely different person. And I love it. Like she's a kid,
Yeah.
how kids were meant to be. And yeah, it takes a bit. Like most parents, they try it and it doesn't work in the beginning, and they give up too quick. But if you stick with it for 15 minutes, half an hour, they'll get into it,
Yeah.
and they'll just be so interested in nature and jumping in puddles and mud, digging with their hands, and yeah,
It's funny too, because like you doing like the edible food walks and foraging walks, it's like you don't need to when we have people bring their kids, it's like the kids are already out, they're picking stuff, they're sniffing it, they're throwing it away, they're grabbing, what's this? So they're, and like the parents are like sitting there waiting for us to like drop some like knowledge
Yeah.
bomb on them.
Guide
They've
you.
already done half the work. They're like kicking, oh, what the heck's this cool rock? Like, oh, I gotta throw it. And I'm like, what's this? Oh, like
Yeah.
a bumblebee. And you know, like the kids have already done like a master's degree of like learning in the 20 minutes they've been out there waiting
Yeah.
for the walk to start. And the parents are just like, I wonder what I'm gonna learn today.
Yeah, it's intuitive for them.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier flowers and pollen. Do you want to speak to any of those?
Flowers?
Sure, yeah, flowers that you might harvest or eat or maybe more
Yeah.
fermented.
I love flowers. Well, ever since I started foraging, I love them now.
Yeah.
A lot more. Yeah, you can, I mean, you can just forage flowers to bring them inside and put them in a vase. So there's foraging for decor too, right? I like, you know, it's spring, so we're gonna have violets coming, and those I ate last year. You can make a cordial with them, like a drink. I made a kombucha that was probably the best kombucha in the world. It was pink colored, and you can make like syrups and stuff like that. Another one is maple blossoms.
Mm.
So
What do
those,
you do with those?
last year I ate them on salads or just nibbled as I was walking and, you know, saw them on a tree. But you can also pickle them like you would pickle anything else. So I might try that this year.
Nice. Yeah, we're excited for it. We were just at our spring last weekend. And we're like, oh, we can't wait for the trilliums to come up. Because the whole dirt road to the spring is all trillium. So like
Yeah.
on the way back, we'll stop and like pick a couple bouquets so we can have them at home for a few weeks.
Yeah.
That actually is a good transition. So a plant like trillium or going back to the wild leeks. I'm curious to catch your perspective on this idea of, you know, you'll hear people say, don't ever harvest leeks. Like,
Yeah.
oh, like people are, even with the trilliums, that's when you said it, I like laughed on the inside. Some people would be like, don't you ever
I
harvest.
always blame it on my daughter with the trilliums. Half the time it is, most of the time. Yeah.
Well,
If
and
she
like
does it, then
we actually, was it last year? I told Jeff, I was like, I really want to bring some home, and I really wanted to bring a few for my mom. And when I was like picking them, I remember being like, oh, if there's a car that drives, like I'm
Yeah.
really nervous because some people can be so intense about, you know,
Everything.
well, about everything, but also
Yeah,
with plants. Let's
everything.
just say, yeah, that they're concerned that your harvest will completely decimate the population. So I'm curious to catch your perspective on this, specifically, I guess, on the idea of like micro habitats. And yeah, if you have anything to say or that you want to say about
Yeah,
that.
well, first of all, I would say this is most of the time the people that are saying this have never been foraging. They're usually like outsiders looking in, so they really don't know much. They haven't taken the time to educate themselves. Also, I think, what are they here for if we're not going to use them, like with leaks? So you're going to protect the population, so they're there for future generations that can't use them. You know, so what's the point of saving them for people that aren't going to use them?
Mhm.
Like,
It's the argument with hunting of if we don't put like a high price on this animal, no one's going to value them, and they'll be like a low value thing that's just easy to wipe out. Whereas like I like to tell people, like if you're going out for those leaks, you're going to protect them with your life, and you're going to make sure no Walmart pops up in that
Yep.
area, and you're going to fight it tooth and nail.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking is the best way to get people to protect things is by getting them out in nature, getting them to love nature, getting them to value it, like you said. And that's the better way to do it than to be a keyboard activist type person. Yeah, so I think nature is very good at, nature doesn't make mistakes, right? And it's very good at rejuvenating itself, and it knows what it needs. We don't know what it needs. When we try to fix things, we make things worse. So, I don't believe in, I don't really look at things like, oh, that plant's invasive, I'm gonna rip it out. Nature knows what it needs, nature knows what it's doing. Yeah, don't over harvest. And in some parts of the world, you're allowed to, there's laws, free to roam laws, where you're allowed to go forage anywhere on anyone's property, as long as you're not pulling out bulbs or taking endangered species. And if you're a forager, you're learning about this stuff, you're going to know what's endangered and you're going to care about it.
Yeah, people hate, they hate nuanced conversations, because then you can't yell or point the finger. Like you said, like, yeah, if you're like, I don't know, 100 by 100 green space, like right in downtown Toronto, and there's wild leeks. Yeah, okay, guys, like settle the F down. Like, we get it. But like,
Yeah,
the funny thing, like,
go
people
guard them. Go
Yeah.
stand guard.
but people like will say stuff like, oh, don't do this. And it's like, seriously, like if we walk like an hour north from where we are now, we won't be seen for a year. And we could probably walk for till winter time and get to the next like highway. It's like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kilometers to the next highway that crosses where we are north. So it's like people want to, like, especially when you post stuff online, it's so easy to be like,
Yeah,
oh, Keith, you
it's
terrible
like
person. Those leaks, how dare you? They couldn't defend
I got
themselves.
that
And
like
you're
the first week I posted, in the first week or two, and then it just disappeared. I don't know why. Maybe the algorithms learned. I don't
About
know.
the leaks. Well,
Um,
the leaks are really, so Arthur Haynes, actually, you're probably aware of his work. He speaks a lot about reciprocal conservation. And one of his main examples is with leeks. So the best, like, this is what I love. Okay, we're harvesting leeks. If you want, you can harvest in a way. So you could harvest and just like rip plants out and rip, take a whole patch. Like there
Yeah.
are ways that you could potentially impact a population more than another. And there's
Yeah.
ways, leeks, the seed pods will go downhill. So if you want, you could take some seeds that you see as you described earlier, bring them uphill and plant them uphill so you can help grow that population. You could harvest one leaf per plant. You could, another one was like, if you go to harvest the bulb, then put the seeds into the soil where the bulb was. So
smart.
there's ways that you can also give back. And I love that every time you're taking something, whether it's a song or words of gratitude or Thanksgiving, or it could be like a physical act or even picking up garbage, like there's ways that we can give back when we
For
harvest.
sure. That's my offering, is I pick up garbage.
Yeah.
It's my offering to nature and my gratitude for what it gives.
Yeah.
And I did that way before I even started foraging. But yeah, I did last year grab seeds and throw them, but I wasn't thinking uphill or in the holes.
Yeah.
Also heard today that some leek populations can get too thick, and it's good to root some or plant them somewhere else. Or
Absolutely.
Well, where we harvest, that's exactly what I said.
they can't grow any thicker some places.
Yeah.
They're so abundant. I actually think harvesting will help the population.
Yeah, here they're really abundant. Yeah,
Pardon?
like here they're really abundant.
Yeah.
In places like Quebec, I hear they've almost destroyed the populations.
But like it's like the thing I always like to talk about. It's like, yeah, where they destroy the population, near the 3,000 cities and like near the population of like 1 million people.
Yeah.
Then
And foraging, it's hard. Like I know people that are always like, don't tell your spots and this and that, but who's gonna come out and take the stuff? Like people are lazy. There might be one person, but
you'd be
most
pumped
people
to find
won't.
someone,
Yeah.
It's like, oh, cool.
Nice
You're
to
doing
see other
like,
people.
let's be buddies, like, oh,
Yeah.
wild leeks, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like they're only destroyed where there's people. That's what no one understands. It's like, yeah, the population's getting wiped out where there's people, because where there's no people, they're not seeing it.
But also this is the thing about foraging is people that don't know foraging, they think leeks. It's like the only thing. But there's 1,000 plants you can forage. So learning more about it is going to protect those other those species that everyone's going for. If you learn other things to forage and eat, you're not going to care so much about the leeks. But if you're only foraging leeks, you're going to do a huge harvest for the year, and you've been waiting all year to do it. If you're foraging other stuff, you might forget about leeks one year, and
yeah, exactly. There's more for your plate. I know she mentioned Arthur Haynes earlier. He has a great, I've heard breakdowns where like for people's arguments of like, oh, don't do this, don't do that, blah blah, like don't pick this, don't pick that. Like there's so many plants that need to be picked. Like the leeks, like you said, like in certain situations you got to break it up so some new growth to come in. And like there's certain berries and grasses and fungus where it's like, yeah, this needs to get stepped on. Like you need to walk off trail here because that is how it grows. It needs to get stepped on. Or like this needs to get picked, this needs to get pruned off. Like you need to kill this plant or tree right beside it if you want this one to grow. And it's like I said earlier, it's like people hate nuanced conversations because then you can't just like finger point and say like
you can't be it's like the superiority complex or wanting to be morally right. It's a trap people fall into.
I always just say like know your area, know your landscape, just like know your garden. And if you're doing a first harvest of something, okay, do a small one the first year. See how that impacted that population in that area.
And it's a good point is do a small harvest because you don't realize how much work it is to process stuff. So you'll be a huge harvest because it's fun in the moment, right? Bring it home and you're like, whoa, what am I gonna do? And then that's wasteful, right? If you can't.
I have to go to work next day.
And then I end up because I have this, if we harvest something and it doesn't get processed or dried properly, or it really impacts me. And Jeff gets so excited, he'll harvest a bunch. And
I'm the people that people hate, I guess.
That's why we're a team.
You were mentioning earlier, I want to kind of pick it apart a bit, the invasive species thing. And we've had that with people, and I've got a particular take on it. I just want to hear what you think about. And then, like, once again, it's nuance, but just the whole invasive species, I guess, argument. A lot of people, they just pigeonhole them things. All bad.
I think there's an intelligence in nature, and if it didn't want something, it'll learn to get rid of it itself. And sometimes these invasive species are solving problems that we don't understand. So, and I think it's a waste of effort to go in. Like, you'll never be able to destroy them all and get rid of it. So I don't put my energy there very much, but I get it. We all see things differently, and if that's what you find to be valuable to you and your morals and your belief systems, then go for it. It gets you out in nature, do it. go cut down some honeysuckle.
We've had plant walks and like Japanese knotweeds there, and be like, oh, that's invasive, and it's like, is it?
Yeah. Well, I heard someone recently, like, they're like, oh, this invasive food's this crap, and then they're eating it, and it's like your food. We've proven this, right? The molecular structure changes based on the energy around it. So, if you're gonna eat it, don't call it crap and don't look at it as invasive. It's valuable to you, and if people are eating it, then is it really invasive or?
Absolutely, yeah.
And like, is it a problem?
Yeah, and it's solving issues. Like, I've heard that for Japanese knotweed, so many other different plants. It's like, oh yeah, like this is a soil remedy for this or that, or it's a refuge for animals, or and then like
the poison ivy.
Yeah, so where we were living, there's poison ivy all over this island, and I would joke around. I don't know if you're familiar with Montezuma's Revenge.
No.
When you go to Mexico and you drink the tap water, or you drink the water and you get really sick, they say that was Chief Montezuma's revenge for the Spanish conquering Central America. As you go there and you get sick from drinking the water. It was the First Nations revenge for taking over the island. Is they covered it with poison ivy. That way you'd push people away so the island could like recover back to its
right. Yeah, talking about invasives, it's a good time to bring up garlic mustard, which is it's already growing everywhere. It's another one that it doesn't care about snow or cold. Um, and yeah, I played with that last year a lot actually.
What
Um,
did you do with it?
so I I pulled the root and I made horseradish out of the root, which is probably my favorite way to use it.
Nice.
And the only way I really suggest using it, to be honest, unless you're eating it to get rid of some. I know some people do that. They think the more you eat, the better, which could be the case. But I also steamed or boiled it and ate it as like a green like rapini when flower buds are there. I made pesto out of it.
Nice.
It's got a really strong taste. You can boil it and dump the water, which you should do with it if you're eating big amounts because it's high in oxalic acid.
Mm.
But I would say for me, the only way I would probably use it going forward is if throw a couple of leaves in the salad as a spice, or using the root. The root has a better taste than the rest of the plant, not as bitter,
And I
and
would
the
say, like,
roots can be big.
That's cool.
if you're watching this, Keith's Instagram, he's really good at like really making you want to go out and forage stuff. Because like the kimchis and the stuff you show, I'm like, oh man, like you're really doing it.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Like seeing all the little things you create.
Yeah, I love to cook and I love to reduce waste and get creative. So I'm not just going to follow a recipe. I'm going to figure out how to use something in a different way. And thinking outside of the box.
Yeah.
I heard today, like there's no such thing as food waste if you can dream or think creatively.
Mm,
So true.
nice.
And so you had mentioned earlier, if people knew more plants, everyone wouldn't just go running for wild leeks. Do you have a spring edible that is maybe like that people don't know or are more hesitant?
Well, yeah, there's one I was thinking of for some
Yeah.
reason. Spruce tips.
Spruce
So
tips.
you can also make a pesto out of that.
Pesto
And it's
is
sort
like
of
the spring
abundant.
recipe.
Yeah, right. You add oil, lemon, salt. Anything tastes good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, you get them when they're nice and tender, and yeah, you can make a syrup out of them. Make drinks. I like doing kombuchas. I'll throw anything. If you got a kombucha starter, you can throw anything in there that's slightly sweet and yeah, or a herb. People do herbs in their kombucha, so you can start playing with that and you just throw it in and let it do its thing. You don't really have to take time out of your day to cook it or find recipes or
Yeah, it's a
you
nice,
have to-
easy way to implement without, like Dariya said, kind of doing what I do and just overwhelming yourself with
yeah.
something and then, hey honey, good luck. I'm going
Yeah. Last year I did a lot of syrups, but there's a lot of sugar in there, but it's a good way to start, you're doing it something sweet and something. It's kind of easy to make a syrup. You just boil it with sugar and water. So, wood sorrel is my favorite syrup to make. You can do it with like I said, the spruce tips or cones or lots of stuff, berries.
You just spoke about wood sorrel. Do you want to, if listeners don't know this plant, do you want to tell them about it?
Yeah, well, it was just St. Patrick's Day recently, right? And wood sorrel kind of looks like the shamrock, even though shamrocks don't have 4 leaves; they have 3 leaves. So this shamrock we share as a 4-leaf clover. There's no such leaf as that, really. Like there might be yeah, even like the clover is the one that has mutations with 4 leaves. And it doesn't look like that. So the shamrock has the heart-shaped leaflets, right? So it has 4 heart-shaped. So wood sorrel is 3 heart-shapes leaves, like the shamrock, just with 1 less leaf. And wood sorrel tastes like lemon. And it grows in forests, and trails. I've seen it in forests, in your yard and gardens, and coming through, patio stones. And yeah, you use it as a garnish on your salads. And I made a syrup out of it with, sweetener, water, and it lasts in the fridge. When you make a syrup like that, the sugar content's kind of a preservative, so it lasts in the fridge, and then you can use it whenever you want. Some people can make cocktails out of it with alcohol, and it goes really well together. Wood sorrel syrup. So it's like lemon, like a lemon drink, but less of a tangy, like sour lemon, and more of like a flavorful lemon, like very mild, flavorful, delicious plant. I love nibbling it on walks or sharing it with people, because they eat it and they're like, whoa, I did not expect it to taste like that.
Yeah.
How much of a do you dip into the realm of the mushrooms or like tree mushrooms? I know, like, I like to divide it into two kind of different realms. Mushrooms is anything on the ground, and then tree mushrooms I feel a lot safer about. So I usually
good
separate
point.
them for people.
Yeah, mushrooms. I don't like. I'd almost have to take like a whole year or two just to learn about mushrooms. So I haven't done that yet. But yeah, there's a good, 10, 15 mushrooms that I know and that are pretty safe. And yeah, now that you say it, they're mostly tree mushrooms. And yeah, I'm not a mushroom expert, so I can't talk about the other ones, but yeah, the medicinal mushrooms, chaga, I'm always collecting turkey tail. I found morels last year.
Nice.
That was awesome. Yeah, I was looking for a couple days, and then I just said, Forrest, show me the friggin' mushrooms. And within 15 minutes, I'm stumbling upon a morel patch.
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've yet to
Yeah.
find any still.
Yeah.
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 Well, I'm hoping if I go back, they'll be there this year in that same spot. Let's see if I
Morels
go
and
at the right
fiddlehead.
time. Yeah, fiddleheads we picked a lot of last year, and I actually fermented some, and that was probably my favorite way to use them.
Nice. We get them fresh in the grocery store here, which is pretty
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
Yeah, they're really nutritious, high in omega-3s, which you can't find a lot in plants. So yeah, these valuable things seem to come right when we need them, especially right after winter. We're kind of lacking in a lot of nutrients, and then the maple water starts running, and we get a lot of this stuff right when our bodies need it. And that's the other thing about eating seasonally and foraging, is you'll be pretty sure you're getting what you need when you need it.
Absolutely. For sure.
Yeah.
Do you have a hard out at 5?
No.
No? Okay. I just want to double check.
Is there another plant you wanted to talk about?
What kind of plants should we talk about? Spring plants, well-known ones, or more like niche ones that I'm going to be going for.
Let's do some niche ones, maybe even some that we don't know.
What's got Keith excited?
All right. So yeah, this year I'm going to be keeping my eye open for hogweed shoots.
Okay, you'll eat them, obviously.
Yeah, hogweed, again, it's kind of like related to that carrot family.
Yeah.
Type plants, and then ground elder, which a lot of people have in their garden actually, and or in gardens that are left unattended or near properties. There's a lot of ground elder that these are like hogweed and ground elder. They're kind of like parsley looking leaves. And so again, just the shoots, shoots are always good because they're soft and tender. They're called meristematic growth, right? Where things are growing fast. There's a lot of nutrients in them. They're soft. They're usually the part of the plant that is doubling quickly, so it might be one little shoot and then it's turning into two, and so it's where all of those you know, one little part that's going to turn into a lot, right? So it's concentrated with nutrition as well. And yeah, as the seasons progress and it gets hotter, things get more bitter and tough. So I'm going to try them when they're young in the shoots and maybe steam them or put them in a pesto. And then false Solomon seal shoots. They're supposed to taste. Also, same with hogweed. They're supposed to taste like asparagus. Same with
We
false
have
Solomon
lots
seal.
of
Actually,
Solomon seal here.
yeah, they're actually related to asparagus. They're in the same
Oh,
family. Yeah, and I used some of the berries last year. They have like a maple taste. Yeah, so I'm going to be watching for those. There's also Solomon seal. The false Solomon seal has like a cluster of berries. Almost looks like staghorn sumac, like a cone full of berries, right? And then Solomon seal, it has bigger berries, but only a couple that grow under the leaves. So, you know, one here, one here, one here. Red berries. So again, it's good to see these, you know, false Solomon seals edible, Solomon seal not so much. So it's good to watch these plants for a year or two, make sure you know what they are in that location before you go and eat the shoots.
What's what do your walks look like for beginners, stuff like that? What do you kind of, you just pick a green space nearby, or do you have specific green spaces?
Well, I'm trying to play around with different models, but as of now, we're going to local trails, and we have a lot around here, and you know, feel very lucky that, you know, people have conserved these areas and put trails through them. So yeah, we'll usually go on a trail walk and talk about plants that we see, and yeah, talk about some of the philosophy behind it and sustainability. And afterwards we'll have I usually will bring a foraged snack, which is my favorite part, because you know, the whole purpose of doing it is to share it with other people. When you're doing it alone, you're having all this fun alone, you can only go so far with it until you realize, you know, it'd be better with other people around, and you cook an amazing meal and there's no one to share it with. It's not as good. So yeah, creating community, which I see you guys are doing, and your approach to it is more creating a community. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm coming from it, as well as, you know, trying to just grow myself more doing it.
It's funny. You'll get pesto with Keith, and our last walk, we gave them raw liver.
Yeah, did you?
Not everyone took it.
They had options. There was cooked and there was raw.
Yeah.
The brave went with the raw, and
I would eat it. Yeah, I'm pretty brave, and like I just found skunk cabbage yesterday.
Oh yeah.
And that,
oh no, I guess on the island a little bit. It's been a while since I've seen that plant.
yeah, so would you guys eat it?
I've never eaten it.
Yeah, a lot of people say don't, but I want to try it. It's supposed to be, I wouldn't recommend it. It's supposed to make your mouth burn because of calcium oxalate crystals.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it has to be done a very specific way.
like a double or blanching.
Yeah, some people say like 3 to 10 blanches, but it seems to be high heat that gets ry of it. So almost like I'll probably throw it in an air fry or something, so you could blanch it and then fry it.
Crystals at high heat, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Which just for the novelty of trying it, I'd like to do. But other than that, it's probably a survival food.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny when we did our event last weekend, and we it was a free event, and it was just trying to get people introduced to us, and you know, we said we're gonna go do some things, but like we're not doing any crazy flashy stuff, because I'm like, look around, there's nothing here. I'm like, the only food that is around us right now, I'm like, it's all survival food. Like,
Yeah.
we could tell you all about the inner bark that you could eat, and like this little
The
moss
bug.
over there, and it's like, but
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I try, I was after the lockdowns and everything, my brain went into that space of like survival, right? I'm trying to get out of it now. I'm like, why am I doing these things and questioning them a little bit more? But and when am I actually going to need this skill? And yes, there's going to be challenges going forward in the world, and we will need foraging, but we're also in a modern society with a lot of modern comforts and technology. So we got to balance it and, can't just think that we're going to be eating moss. We probably will never need to eat moss, so um, yeah,
Well, that's a big reason why we teach the skills, kind of this idea, we say beyond survival right now is what we're working with, because it's, yeah, we want to have these skills, but we don't want to actually be in the survival mindset, the survival state in our bodies,
yeah.
or just, yeah, the way that we're perceiving the world.
Yeah, because you create it. If you start focusing on it too much and then you start eating moss and now you're in that world that you're like worst case scenario world, now you just created it, right? And you actually perceive these things more the more you do them. So kind
Yeah.
of creating a world where you need that. What you prepare for, you create in a
Yeah.
sense. So,
Sure.
but also there's in going forward in the future, food waste is a huge one. Like I could survive just on what one family throws away, So there's going to be other options as well, not just what they used to have to survive. There's going to be different ways to survive
Well,
for our modern age.
I think like just going through your Instagram, it's a great showcase of like what we like to tell people is it's integrating as much nature as you can into your day-to-day life. It's not, Daniel Vitalis has a great saying he would say would you see people going out for hikes and they look like astronauts on another planet because they got their like high vis, like neon uh um waterproof outfit, the hiking boots, the glasses. It's like they don't look like humans interacting with their environment. They
Yeah.
look like astronauts. Everything they're wearing is fake. It's all synthetic. They're going out there and they're like, and I'm guilty of this. It's like you go out and your only purpose is like, I'm going from this end of the line to this one, or I'm going like to this thing and back and leaving without a trace. No trace. Don't leave a trace. That's like huge in the outdoors community. Instead of like, oh, I'm here to interact with nature. And I think your Instagram was a great showcase of like, hey, this is something you're gonna find nature. Here's how you can integrate it. Here's a pesto. Here's a kombucha. Like here's a kimchi. Like here's cool things you could do. So it's not just like, oh great, I know wood sorrel. Neat. It's like no, you can bring it back and have that as part of your lifestyle instead of just like, oh, we go and we visit and like, oh, we can find a chaga, or like, oh, we can go and just hike this trail, and then when I get home, that's when nature ends, is when I shut the door.
Yeah, for sure. I just redid my whole living room and put way more nature in it, for example. So yeah, when I shut the door, now I still have nature around me, which is nice. And yeah.
I would also add, you spoke to earlier this idea of like people being quite lost. And I also think that, you can feel lost in nature if you don't have an awareness of these plants, whether you're harvesting or not. There is something special about knowing the species, because what we see oftentimes is like or you've probably heard of it, it's like this wall of green. So like people go and they're just like, it's green, it's nature. And it's just this blank slate.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
yeah, that can be like disconnective, even though it's beautiful and we feel good, but then people want to know more. They want to know the species of the trees and what plants these are, what flowers they are, whether or not they're harvesting for food or medicine,
Yeah.
because it brings them a sense of belonging.
Yeah, for sure. It's a beautiful thing. You know, I go out no matter where I am and I see things that I'm interested in. If I'm in someone's backyard, instead of sitting there bored, I'm like looking at all the plants, maybe harvesting some. And
Yeah.
yeah, so you're always at home because you always have your friends around, which are your plants that you got to know. And
Yeah.
yeah, you're talking about people out with all this equipment and stuff. And it's one thing that I want people to know as well is you don't need anything to go foraging. You don't need all this fancy equipment. You don't use what you have in the beginning. And that's the whole point of foraging is using what you have and not having to go out and buy something. So it's good to get in the mindset of finding creative ways to do things. You know, if you don't have a foraging basket, use, an old peach basket that you got from the grocery store. Um, just use what you have, baggies. You don't need to buy a bunch of stuff to do it.
It's such a great low barrier to entry. And like as us, we're adult onset hunters, and like your gear, your permits, your weaponry,
Yeah,
whether it's firearms or archery, or like there's such a steep cost and barrier to get into that world. Whereas like
yeah,
I think a lot of us start with foraging because it's just like, okay, like I see the park over there, or like, if you live kind of like where we all live, it's like, oh yeah, like there's a green space just down the road. There's, maybe 100 acres there that you can go and explore. And it's just so easy, like you said, like, oh, cool. I'm gonna see this dandelion and then make a relationship with it. And then, oh, next year it's like, cool, I knew like 3 more plants. And then it just keeps building.
yeah. Yeah, and it's like a drug. Once you're open to it, yeah, you'll want to just keep getting into it. So that's my purpose on the walks is just to get people to think about it. Like they don't have to learn a bunch of plants, but just to open their mind to the possibilities and what's out there and
Mhm.
start to think differently, start to look at plants differently.
Yeah, I
Um,
know one of the most rewarding parts of the last few years has been like Dariya is more the plant expert, and I've been doing the spring water for about 15 years now. And now I've got a solid maybe 15, 20 people who are now going gathering water. So much so that not this last time, but the last 3 times before that, when we went, there was someone we knew was there. And it's an hour away from our city. So everyone's doing this like pilgrimage to get spring water. And it's like,
yeah.
yes, like after 15 years of like nonstop
Well,
groaning and saying how terrible the tap water is, and like my conspiracy theories and my like advice on the spring water and why it's the best ever. It's like blah, like I was like a broken record for so long, and then got to the point like, okay, I'm gonna stop proselytizing and just preaching, and like when people ask, I'll tell them. And now it's finally at the point that people are starting to go,
yeah.
and it's
Well,
like,
that's
yeah,
how you have to do it, right? You have to like live by example, and then when people come and see, hey, that guy, he looks really happy and vibrant and healthy, and then they come and ask you about it, right? That's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
yeah, and I like that's a big thing for the nonprofit for us is a lot of people are like, oh, like we see you like living this way, and it's like it's authentic. And like when I seen your page, it's like, oh, like he's doing it. He's not just like, hey guys, here's this plant, it's cool, blah blah blah. It's like, oh shit, like he's making some really good looking food, like awesome recipes. He's not just like, okay, I know this plant, I've got a handful of it and I'm gonna dry it and put it in like a container for later. It's like, no, like you're eating this stuff every day, and people get drawn to that, and they I think now more than ever with the internet is people are just craving authenticity, and you can get a taste of it through the screen. But I guess with COVID and everything, I heard one business mentor say, um, like in-person events, it's like people are just like they're dying for it right
Yeah,
now. It's like,
community too.
yeah, it's like, oh, like I don't want through the screen anymore. Like I'm over Netflix. Like I want to get out. I want to see people. I want to touch them. I want to hug them. I want to talk to them. Like they want to be out there. They want to have that connection.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of sad because I think, yeah, food scarcity is becoming more of a thing. And I was at a point in my life where I was homeless and I didn't have food, and I didn't even know about all the plants out there that I could eat. And, I remember being so hungry that I was just eating random leaves off of a tree just to fill my stomach a little bit, and maybe some grass or something. And yeah, a lot of people are, people would starve in their homes because they just don't think that way. So
Yeah.
about getting people to think differently. And the thing I realize is, if you're not doing it now, if something bad happens, an emergency in the world, you can't learn it that quickly. So you're not going to be able to do it when, stuff hits the fan.
Yeah.
So it's good to slowly incorporate it and get it used to it now before you need it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I would say that our philosophy, one, we just love being outside and we just love learning. We're endless learners. Like when it comes
Yeah.
to foraging, there's always something new you can learn. And then for us, it's like, and we're growing our skill set. Whether or not anything happens, these are skills we want to have because it actually brings us closer to nature, and it gives us purpose and play and creativity when we go outside, which we're going outside anyway. So
Yeah.
it's just,
What
yeah,
one thing that's been one big blessing from foraging has been just seeing how supported we are, by nature, by the universe, by the world. We're so supported. We have everything we need. We don't have to be relying on other people, and just really help me understand abundance a little bit better.
Mhm.
oh yeah, I think plants are like the greatest teachers of abundance.
Yeah.
There's, I mean, there might be a few plants, there's probably the exception, but it's very rare that one plant produces one seed.
Yeah.
Every time I go, like when I harvest tobacco seeds, like I'm just, my mind's blown. I'm like, this is just incredible. And it's so easy to harvest like almost millions of seeds, and like these plants just produce so many seeds for us to give and share. And then our friends can plant and grow these medicines or food themselves. And I think it's like the like real life example of abundance through our plant kin.
Yeah.
I made the comment the other day when we were at the spring, and you probably can relate to this, is with your daughter, you're actually building generational wealth, not only with, you know, her understanding of how she can interact and live with nature, not just in it or around it, but even if the green spaces you take her to turn into a Walmart or an Amazon hub or something, like that we all probably kind of fear with these beautiful spaces, she's gonna have that relationship and kinship that she can show her children. So if she decides like, oh, okay, like I'm gonna go an hour more north than I had to when I was a child. Here's all the same plants I seen before. Like I have all this relationship. That's generational wealth. And like
Hmm.
it really hit me when you said like you were starving in like a food oasis.
Yeah.
And it's the only thing you were starving from was knowledge
Yeah.
of what was there.
Yeah. And if you chase money in life, that can be taken away, but your knowledge
Yeah.
can't be.
Yeah. And now, you pass that on, and something that's been coming up lately for us, or I guess me, has been the indigenous teaching of 7 generations thinking. Think
Yeah.
generations ahead, and it's like, okay, yeah, we could, what do you do with your money, or what do you do with your time, or all these things. Like, well, how can we make sure 7 generations from now, not only her grandchildren, it's like they're all on this, maybe not the same path, but they're taken care of in that way, or fostered up in that way, where like you said, like, yeah, you're surrounded by all this food, like you're starving of the knowledge to know what to eat. And that's almost like a crime against humanity, that you can be one of the most abundant places in the world, yet you're confused as what to eat, or what to use on your body or as medicine or shelter or whatever it might be.
Yeah. Yeah, researching plants, it's very interesting. It's almost like every plant is medicinal. Like that's the abundance I'm talking about, the giving. It's, they're so giving plants, and it's almost like you could just tell a plant, I need you for this, and then put it on. It's like they used everything as a poultice. They would grind, it doesn't matter if it was bark from a tree, leaves, roots. They used it as a poultice, and it made the wound better. And so we realized that I think we have this, the plants are intelligent, but we also, our consciousness is so powerful, and it trumps everything, right? So if you can believe in it, or, if you believe that plant can heal you, I think that plays a part.
Yeah, we've been using a lot of homeopathic remedies with not only with her pregnancy, the birth. Dariya and I were under the weather the last couple weeks, and homeopathy has been playing a big part. And realizing, it kind of dawned on me how something like belladonna has been a big one for us recently. How all these plants like poison ivy, things that were like, oh no, not like, we love all of them, not that one.
Yeah.
Not you. Like, you're bad. You're not this one.
Everything's beautiful in its own way, and
this one will
valuable in its
poison
own
you.
way.
Yeah, but like realizing a lot of these homeopathic medicines are made from plants that would be otherwise toxic or deadly, or have a reaction, but like in that nature of the plant is its medicine. So using, like, they dilute it over, like, 1,000 times diluted, where there's no chemical detection of the plant, and then that's able to like signify your body of like, hey, this is what belladonna does if you were to eat it. Now you've got a head cold, and it's going to trigger your your pathways to open up and start getting things to flow. And it's amazing that even something we couldn't eat or rub on as a poultice, or like just thinking like, oh, like that one's got no use. It's like, no, even that one has a use.
Yeah, it's all about perspective, right? And the Native Americans used to say no plant is toxic in the right dose. And now science is saying everything's toxic in the right dose, because we can see such small amounts of these compounds with a microscope that we all of a sudden call it toxic. And so there's a lot of misinformation going around about plants, and a lot of stuff saying you can't eat that, but you just have to do it in the right way.
Oh yeah, that's like the classic, picked it up at the roadside like diner stop of like edible Ontario plants or something, and it's like half the book is like, oh, I can't touch it, I can't eat that, this has been bad, and like none of these people have ever forged it or tried it or processed it or anything.
Someone's knocking at my door, so now might be a good time to go.
Well, do you want to close by just maybe sharing again where people can find you, and then
So Instagram at ediblywild, ediblywild.ca, and you can message me at info@ediblywild.ca.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was awesome
Talk. Thanks, guys.
Hopefully our paths cross in person one day.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay, take care.
All right, cheers.
All right, have a good one.
Yeah.